Okay, well, Dina, thank you so much for joining me here today. I am so excited to talk to you today and learn more about how to really get into a routine, have some structure, and feel good every day when you wake up and you start your day.
Mm-hmm.
Just to give a little bit of background, my name's Beth Pensabine, and I'm here with Dina from Beachway, who has over 20 years of experience working in family therapy, and she's been with Beachway over 5 years as well. So she is just a wealth of knowledge for us, and we're so grateful that she takes this time out to share all of this with us. So Dina and I were chatting a little bit about routines and how to reduce stress, and also just kind of increase your mental health by
Mm-hmm.
having a routine. And you said to me, the most important thing about having a routine is to remember what you need to do so you're prepared every day. So
Right.
I love how you have this great way for us to remember just by using the first letter of each word of routine with a little bonus letter at the end. So Dina, could you explain that for me a little bit? Like routine, right? So if everybody kind of wants to grab a pen and paper, this is so smart. For me personally, I love sticky notes. So I'm going to be making this a sticky note.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All
I'm going to
right.
put the sticky note on my computer because this is so great for everyone. Everyone who's feeling a little overwhelmed, they feel like their plate's overflowing, and even now with us coming out of the pandemic, there's a readjustment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of getting
Yeah.
back to like, okay, what was real life like before? What was it about? Like, how do I do that? So how do
Yes.
folks,
A lot
yeah,
of people were talking about really feeling like they were in a rut. So how do we go from rut to routine? And so, ready?
I'm ready. I can't wait
Okay.
to hear.
All right. So remember, R in routine is for responsible. You're responsible for your time and energy every day. And it's really important to remember that it's okay to set boundaries and to say no. Be really mindful. You don't want to spend all your energy by noon and then have nothing left for the rest of the day. So O is to get really organized, daily prep, morning and night. And we talked, if you remember, little tasks are super important, like making your bed, brushing your teeth, setting up your coffee, things you can count on daily to keep you rooted and grounded. U is to understand what I need and to have balance. Let's remember to implement self-care. I think a few weeks ago, we talked about the 50 ways to nurture your soul. Let's throw at least one of those in under this spot, right? T is for team. I can't do this alone, especially when I'm mentally not feeling well. So who's on your team? Who's on your roster? Who are you gathering to help you? I is to identify your goals and to pay attention daily. Did I do at least one thing to get me closer to achieving my goal? N is for needs, know what I need and be able to negotiate with others. And E is to examine weekly or daily, is my routine working? And if not, you get to realign, re-examine.
And we said there was a bonus word. So routine should be past and present when you're thinking
Mhm.
about it. So we were talking about putting a D at the end of routine and making it routined. So what does the D stand for?
For discipline, because I don't know about you, but I can do something pretty good for a little bit, but it's the long haul that has long lasting results. So the discipline, the consistency over time creates change. So we need discipline.
I love that. So
Mhm.
I'm going to kind of pick apart each one and help you give people examples, right? Because
Okay.
it's great to think about in theory. We're going to all have it on a sticky note on our computer, on our refrigerator, wherever you look at. But it's also good to have certain examples. So when you say responsible, you get to say no. Can you
Mhm.
give us an example of how you would tell somebody no, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, it's a good thing?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's important to really know how you're wired. Um, I'll give you a personal example. I know that for me, if you ask me on Monday if I'd like to do something on Friday, it sounds good in theory, right? But by the time Thursday comes, I'm trying to figure out how to get out of that because I'm busy. So, you have to know your limits, and that saying no is for self-preservation. So it's super important. Super, super
And
important.
I do think that some people who struggle with mental illness are people pleasers just by nature, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's our nature to say, we want other people to always feel good. So we're going to say yes, but
Yeah,
that's actually hurting yourself. So you have to
absolutely.
learn that it's okay to say no. And when somebody tells you no, it's okay too, right?
Absolutely.
I love that.
Only say yes if it doesn't infringe on you and your personal energy and your mental well-being.
I love that. Okay,
Mhm.
so let's talk about O, which is organized, which
Mhm.
is your daily prep morning and night. Can you give us an example of how you personally do your morning prep and evening prep? I would love to hear that.
Well, you want to forecast. So what do I have tomorrow? And in the evening, I'm taking a look at what the next day has in store for me. Do I need to pack a lunch? Do I need to get up a little earlier so I can meditate? Do I have time to take a walk in the morning? Do I need to plan that for the afternoon? Really being mindful. There's no more walking around winging it. We need to really be thinking ahead, you know?
I love that because I feel like if you don't do that, you're almost physically and emotionally
Mhm.
exhausted before the day's
Mhm.
over because you're so worried
Absolutely.
about juggling everything that you're then by the end of the day, you're spent, right? And we never want to feel that way. So I love that kind of thinking ahead so you don't put yourself in that place. Okay, now the U for understanding balance. We were talking a little bit about self care as related to that. Can you give me an example of that?
Yeah, so, there's a lot more time for self-care when it's a day I'm not working. So I like to make sure that on a day when I'm working, that I have balance. So for example, today's a pretty busy day, but I already took a nice brisk walk outside before I showered and to keep me feeling good and grounded. Um, self Sometimes just driving to work in the car, you can implement some self-care. Play the music you like, sing loud, be fun.
I love that. I actually have a couple playlists,
Mhm.
so when I have something for work that I want to be really energetic and
Yes,
ready to take it, I have like a whole pump up playlist, but you can also have like a calm down playlist too.
that's
So
true.
I like the idea of that, of like having your music ready for whatever you are going into that day. All right, we talked about T for team. Now, when you said to not go alone, could it be your therapist? Could it be your loved one? Could it be your friend from work? Can you give us examples of who should be part of your team?
Well, if we're talking about mental health and recovery, right, the team is vast. So definitely your therapist, your support network, your sponsor, people in your home group, absolutely your loved ones. You want to be evaluating your team. A good team doesn't keep a coach if the coach isn't working, if the team members aren't cohesive. So you get to pick and choose who's on your team depending on how things are going for you. So we talk a lot about that. A lot of times when we have our clients come into Beachway, we laugh and we tell them they might have to fire their team and start over. You get to handpick who's in your circle, who's closest to you, who supports you the best, not only in times of crisis, but who's like your cheerleader, who's there for you, who's pumping you up. It's
I
important.
think that T is such an important one
Mhm.
because I think you really can't do this alone, and you know that so well, especially being a family therapist like you are. You know how important it is to surround yourself
Mhm.
with people who love you. So I think that is really really important that people shouldn't have to feel like they're by themselves to figure this all out.
No.
There's so much opportunity for them to connect with other people. Okay, I for identify goals. What does that mean? Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals. So a daily goal might just be to make sure my 3 meals are really healthy and I feel good at the end of the day. And you want to evaluate, you want to take inventory at the end of the day so you can feel proud of yourself before you close your eyes. Did you do what you said you were going to do? And if it's a long-term goal, did I do one thing that day that got me closer to the goal?
I also love that because I feel like it keeps you on track, right? Because if
Mhm.
you don't have a goal, it's kind of like you're just out here kind of flailing around a little bit. But if you have goals, whether they're daily goals or weekly goals or yearly goals, it's great because it does really say, okay, did I move myself closer
Correct.
to what I'm trying to achieve? Did I do that today? Even if the personal goal is I want to make my bed every day and I want to make sure I walk the dog every day,
Mhm.
those are your goals. That's something you can check in at the end of the week. How many days a week did I meet my goal to
Correct.
see, and how can I do better? Right.
Yes, I want people to stop being surprised at the results that they create. By the time that we have the results, it's too late. So you need some checks and balances along the way.
Wait, can you say that again? I have to write that down. That's so
What
good.
did I say? I said
Be surprised at the
we can't,
results.
right. When the results show up, it's too late. The reality we have right now today is based on what we were thinking and doing in weeks prior. So we can't be haphazard. If we have checks and balances, for example, and at the end of the month, if I want to save an extra $100, I have to make sure I'm not going to the dollar store every day and spending my money
Right.
and
Right.
then be surprised that I don't have the extra at the end of the month.
Right. I love that. Results. When the results show up, it's too late.
That's right.
That's great. Everybody needs to write that down. That's so good. Okay. So, talk about the end and know what you need. Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah. So it's really important to know, do I need downtime? Am I too busy? Do I need to ask for help? Are there things that I have to do in this routine that require support? Can I delegate? Is it time for me to negotiate? It's really important to know what I need.
And I
Mm.
think I think this happens for men and women. It's very hard on both sides. Sometimes people like to be over busy to kind of
Mhm,
be a noise behind what's going on in their head, right? And so they may not look for downtime because it actually is harder for them.
mhm.
And also there's, some instances with, I'm sure you see in family therapy with mothers who maybe feel that they are trying to do it all, right? We're trying to do it all. We're trying to be a great mom, a great wife, great at work, right? Great with
Completely
our friends,
overwhelmed.
be able to
Mhm.
make great dinners. And so requiring support as well as, delegating, I think is really smart. And I think it's good for anybody and anybody's mental health. Okay, so let's talk about E, examining your routine. So what does that look like? What would be a
Well,
good example of that?
I think it's important to look at my routine often and make sure I'm not in a rut. Is it working? Is my routine creating joy?
Mhm.
Am I just busy? Am I busy? Like we're busy doing, but we're human beings, not human doings. We're human beings. It's okay to sit still.
I like that one too.
Right.
Keep going. I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, no, you're good. I think we just get used to doing what we're doing and not stopping to ask, is this really working for me? And it's okay if it's not. Just
Right.
because it's something you've been doing for decades doesn't mean you need to keep doing it if it isn't working. If it isn't feeding your soul, stop.
I love that. It's so
Yeah.
smart. All right, now our extra initial here at the end, or letter at the end here, the D for discipline. So
Yes.
I love what you were saying is that, you need to kind of hold yourself accountable. And you're not going to see results unless you do things consistently. And what we're kind of chatting about, it doesn't mean that you have to do it same time every day, in and out, but you have to be able to do something consistently to kind of
Yeah.
match goals. because you're not going to see results from doing it once a year, right? So can you give us an example of how your best practices on how to have that discipline?
So discipline is tied into commitment, right? If I give my word to myself, then I follow through. Commitment is doing what I said I was going to do long after the feeling to do it has passed. So whether I feel like working out or not, if I said I was going to, then I do. And so it's really about keeping your word to yourself. You know, how important are the goals that you have? We're
So
teaching, we're teaching our clients not to let circumstances or feelings get in the way of them having what they said they wanted to have. But in order to have that, you have to be disciplined.
I love that. So doing something long after the feeling has passed,
Mhm.
that's genius. So I think that kind of ties it all together, because if you are having, if you kind of understanding balance, if you're looking at your daily prep morning and night, if you're setting goals, that is going to set you up for discipline, right? Because
Yes.
you're writing it down, you're staying organized,
Mhm.
and you know what you need to do to then be able to do it. So it all kind of goes hand in hand.
It does.
It's brilliant. I love it.
I
Well,
was just thinking
yeah.
the examine piece, to be flexible with yourself. I think sometimes we get very rigid in our routines,
Mm.
and that's where we lose out on the fun, because it gets really monotonous and like a chore. So the routine shouldn't feel like that.
Yeah, I mean, even I love the thought of even trying to do something new maybe once in a while.
Yes.
Maybe it's you, like I'm actually learning how to play pickleball right now. It sounds
Oh,
ridiculous.
that's okay. I'm looking to get a kayak.
I know nothing about pickleball. I got invited to play a couple weeks ago, so I took a beginner lesson. And honestly, just I met 5 new people.
Hmm.
I learned something new. I felt totally re-energized from that
Awesome.
1 hour class, just because I've like meeting new people alone to me is re-energizing, but then also like learning something new for me, like using part of my brain, learning something new. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be when you try to think about keeping it fun and flexible. It doesn't have to be, we were saying like, you don't need to go run a marathon, right? Nope.
Right.
Nobody wants to do that. Okay. There's a very
I-
small percentage of people that actually want to do that. But just like trying to find some, maybe if you walk your dog, like what I'm also trying to do this summer is walk my dog a different way. Like we always go the same way. I'm going a different way. My dog's very confused. He's like, I don't understand. This isn't the right way. But I'm like, oh, I'm just going to go see what's this way. So just trying to do, especially coming out of this pandemic, trying to kind of refresh your brain, get yourself
Mhm.
excited about doing things. Um,
Let's
just,
make that the I. Implement something fun.
yeah,
Implement instead of identify. And we could have both, but implement, I love that.
yeah. Implement
Implement
something
some
fun.
new and exciting stuff.
Yes.
It's good.
Love that. Oh my gosh, that was all so good. Is there anything you'd like to end with, letting our Beachway family here know? I mean, I know you in your family therapy work with people on all of this one-on-one, and we're so grateful for you.
Thank
Is
you.
there anything else you wanted to add before we kind of sign off?
I just always like to remind people how much they matter and to take care of themselves. Mental, spiritual, physical well-being. Time on this planet's short. Take care of yourself.
Oh my gosh, I'm welling up over here. You're
Ah,
amazing.
thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much for taking the time, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.